for us. And want to now introduce Existence is Resistance, and we're joined in the studio by Ayman El Said and Nancy Mansour Lee. The Existence of Resistance organization recently embarked on a 10-day journey through Israel and the occupied West Bank. The tour consisted of international grassroots organizers, youth from the south side of Chicago, Southwest Youth Collaborative, international political hip-hop artists, and others. But rather than reading this, why don't I turn it over to you guys, and maybe you can explain to us what exactly is Existence is Resistance.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. Existence is Resistance is an organization we founded at the beginning of 2009. When the whole Gaza massacre was happening, we wanted to do something productive with the children, I guess. We ended up going to Gaza in July 2009 within a delegation, and we took within a convoy, and we took our own hip-hop delegation. You want to elaborate on that?
So we traveled last year on a U.S. convoy, the Viva Palestina convoy, to the Gaza Strip, along with Cynthia McKinney, George Galloway, British MP, and Charles Barron, New York City Councilman. We provided translation services. We led the hip-hop delegation. We had like a little show out there with local artists from Gaza, along with M1 of Dead Prez and Mazi of Soul Purpose. And basically, we're trying to do our best to bring awareness on what's going on in Palestine and how to stop the occupation and the blockade on Gaza, and also to break the isolation the Palestinians are feeling and living with on a daily basis.
Our main objective is to teach resistance through arts rather than violence. And also, at the same time, by taking people from America, we've taken people from all types of backgrounds. They're learning about the struggle here, because there's a lot of struggles going on, not just the Palestinian one. So the Palestinian kids are learning through hip-hop, because hip-hop's a global language now. It's the newest thing out there, and we've basically been taking people out there, teaching them about struggles in America.
Now, I do want to talk more about your trip to Palestine and some of the work you're doing, but you do mention that hip-hop is sort of a global language, and I know Rosa Clemente actually ran with Cynthia McKinney, is trying to make that connection between hip-hop and political activism. But I hadn't heard previously of a hip-hop group and working on Middle East foreign policy. You guys kind of unique, or is it actually pretty common around the country and the world?
Hip-hop is worldwide. There's artists locally that are developing in the Middle East and Palestine. What we're doing is we're bringing them all together, all the different artists, to express themselves, to speak out against the situation they're living in, whatever, their experiences in Palestine, especially with the occupation. We try to bring them together and bring U.S. artists to connect with them and make it and show how global it is, on one stage, and have the different artists perform together and speak about their experiences. I
will say, first of all, shout out to Rosa Clemente, because she was supposed to be on this trip with us, and she will be on the next one, definitely. But I think, first of all, hip-hop in the Middle East has been happening for a while. It hasn't come to light till now. The first person to do a documentary that I know of anyway, Jackie Saloom, did a documentary called Slingshot Hip-Hop with one of the first Palestinian hip-hop groups called DAM, who are three gentlemen from Led, who are within the 48 within Israel. And I think that kind of inspired us a little bit. And then my sister, shout out to Shadia Mansour, is the first female Palestinian hip-hop artist. And she started getting asked to go on tour there, so I helped organize a few of those tours, and that kind of led to us expanding it a little bit, because the tours were just over there with a few Arabic artists from around the world, but it wasn't bringing the names that we've brought over there, and and also bringing in what we taught them, which I guess we're going to get into in a little bit.
Now, so do some of the songs that your group do or promote, do they rise out of the experience that Palestinians are facing through the occupation of Gaza?
100%. They all have a song about Palestine. I think Shadia is probably the one that is all about Palestine. She does do songs for political prisoners, but mainly she's probably the most political. Low Key, who we work with very closely from the UK, who's of Iraqi descent, Iraqi and British. he actually had a track called Long Live Palestine, which made #1 in the download charts online. I don't know if I can mention the websites, but
yes, you can mention
okay,
websites.
on Amazon and iTunes, and he reached #1. That's the first song ever with the title Palestine in it to reach a #1 track. So, I mean, it's, and he had a remix with about 7 different Arabic artists. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're very versatile. Shadia being Palestinian is probably, I mean, she's got to get free before she can start rapping about jewelry and whatever else people rap about. But yeah, she's definitely the most political, I would say.
I mean, the artists do mainly speak about the situation on the ground, their experiences. Like she was mentioning Dam from Lid, they speak about the racism they deal with, racial profiling, police brutality, similar issues that the African-American Latino community deals with hip-hop earlier in the hip-hop movement here, even till today, but I'm talking about when it was more mainstream to speak about those issues. So we went to Gaza. We linked up with Ayman and Montez. They're from PR rappers. One of their fathers was murdered by Israel. A rocket hit his house during the bombing in January. So he directly speaks about these issues, and they do speak about their daily life experiences.
Okay. So, I should point out, if there are things you need to get across, I'm not asking, just talk about it. But I'm also curious, since you are at least somewhat based, obviously, here in New York City, and New York City, as the rest of the United States, tends to be very pro-Israel in terms of its positions. How is that sort of your hip-hop, how is your message received, by the larger community, but even within the hip-hop community in, say, New York City?
Well, I would say by the hip-hop community, it's been embraced. They've supported us in a lot of ways. I mean, you might not get it played on a mainstream radio station, except maybe WBAI, which we thank and grateful for. But the hip-hop community has embraced us. They support the Palestinian movement. Shadia Mansour, she's performed at Black August several times with other big artists from the U.S., and that Black August deals with American political prisoners, but we linked it up with Palestinian political prisoners and people in Palestine facing oppression. So, of course, New York City, it is a problem with them being pro-Israel, but the regular people on the streets that we that we deal with, they've showed a lot of support to us.
But I think also, I just want to say, I think a lot of people, even Israelis, that may not agree with a lot of Palestinian organizations that are just like Free Palestine. Of course, that's what we say. But I think when you approach them with music and arts, they're more willing to listen. I've noticed that over the last year or so.
So what were some of your experiences in Palestine? And I mean, one question I always ask people, what don't Americans understand about the situation there?
I don't think they understand what we mean by occupation. I don't think they really understand what is going on out there. I mean, I think one of the saddest things was, first of all, I want to say we took M1 of Dead Prez with us, who was absolutely amazing. Marcel Cartier, there was quite a few people who, we love you all and we can't mention everybody, but I think one of the most, one of the places that really hit everybody was Hebron, or Khalil, which is the real name of it. Once you go into the West Bank and Palestine, it feels, I mean, it's so full of life and energy, and you know what I mean, but then you're faced with roadblocks and checkpoints and tanks and whatever else, and the armies everywhere, even though they say that the West Bank is run by the Palestinian Authority. It's really not, unless the Palestinian Authority is run by Israel, which it is. But I think once you have to leave, and then all these people that you've met with you and all the people that came on the tour bus with us, that was probably the saddest and the hardest part. When you leave those borders of whichever city that you're in, Ramallah, Nablus, Jenin, those people that you've met there can't leave with you, and they can't, and it's so, I think that really kind of, it affected everybody greatly. You know what I mean? The fact that these people can't leave there. You know what I mean? They don't have a passport. They don't, they're not living normal lives. You ask kids what cartoons they watch. They don't have time for cartoons. So
I mean, we do want, that's one of our main goals, is bringing Americans and other maybe Europeans, just people non-Palestinian, to go to Palestine and see things for themselves. The Palestinians appreciate the international solidarity. They always embrace us with open arms. They love seeing people coming from all around the world to show support for their struggle. And like she said, it's all about, we want people to see what the occupation is about. I went there. I could travel anywhere in the country, whereas a Palestinian who was born and raised there cannot travel anywhere in the country simply because I have an American passport. And that's that's unfair. That makes no sense to me, that I have more access to the country than the local people.
And something else I want to say is when you walk around the West Bank, you know how here you've got posters of movies and what's coming out and new albums and everything. Out there you have posters of kids from 2 years old to, you know, to men of 50, 60 years old who have been murdered by the Israeli army. I mean, it's just posters of children everywhere. And that, I mean, if that doesn't get you, you know what I mean? Like, what? I don't know anywhere that has that.